I love how just the appearance of these guys brings a round of applause. That's a great thing. It's a great thing. Well, listen, it is my great privilege to welcome you to the First Congregational Church tonight for this concert from Dr. Michael White and his New Orleans Jazz Ensemble. I'd like to offer just a few words about why we're doing this, including the importance it might have for all of us as we go through our days and our weeks. So in Christian churches around the world, the final days of October and the early days of November are an occasion to celebrate what many churches call All Souls Day, or in some traditions, All Saints Day. And in a similar fashion, African and indigenous traditions also use this time to celebrate and honor the ancestors, those wisdom keepers of the past that help to guide our living throughout the present. In Mexico, this tradition takes the shape of the Day of the Dead. In Haiti, it's called Fête Gaîté. And here in Old Lyme, we've taken to calling it the Rhythm of the Saints. In gathering as we do and in centering ourselves in music, we are seeking to remember and to honor all of those ancestral voices that have shaped each and every one of us and who have made us who we are. And I happen to believe that music is one of the best means that we have for summoning forth all of that wisdom. Now, tonight, Michael and his band will be summoning the voices of some of the older musicians who we now name among the saints of the earth. And I don't know if they'll be playing pieces from these musicians, but they're certainly being summoned forth. People like Buddy Bolden and Jelly Roll Morton and King Oliver and Sidney Bechet and Danny Barker and Louis Armstrong and probably a whole lot of others besides. Those are world historical figures who bequeath to us all a music that names the sorrows and the struggles of African Americans, even as that music refuses to be defined or limited by those sorrows. This is a music in which the human spirit shines and soars. And it is a gift meant for all people, for everybody, no matter our race or nationality or gender or sexual identity or class status or voting habits. This is a music given to and for all of us, all of you. Now, but as Michael and his band play tonight, here's what I'd like to invite you all to do. I'd like to invite all of you to reflect on the wisdom keepers in your life that have given you shape and direction over the course of your days. It could be your parents, it could be your grandparents, it could be an aunt or an uncle, it could be an artistic hero, it could be a leader who helped to clarify what is best in you, it could be a long-gone hero of the faith. As the band plays tonight, summoning forth all this ancestral wisdom, I want to ask you to consider who belongs in your great cloud of witnesses, as the writer of the book of Hebrews puts it. So, enough talking. I want you to join me in welcoming this evening, first, Dr. Michael White on clarinet. Michael's right down here. Michael is joined by Greg Stafford on trumpet and vocals. Greg is right down there. Detroit Brooks is on banjo. Detroit. And Mitchell Player is on upright bass tonight. So, one last thing I want to say. It is okay while they're performing to clap. It is okay while they're performing to get up and move a little bit. You know, listen, we are New England Protestants, and too often we're locked up somewhere in our heads and we forget that we have these things called bodies. This is bodily music. And so if you're so moved tonight, get up and move. Clap your hands, do whatever you need to do. But join me one more time in giving a very warm welcome to Dr. Michael White and his New Orleans Jazz Ensemble.
Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for coming. This is our second time up here and it's great. We hope that this becomes an annual event for us. You know, our theme about ancestors is very important because New Orleans jazz is a music that was started over 100 years ago by some of our blood ancestors. Some of the musicians on stage are related to musicians that were in the earliest generation of jazz musicians from New Orleans. And so with that in mind, most of the music that we're playing tonight, in fact, almost all of the music we're playing tonight was played many times and many years ago by our musical ancestors. And our banjo player, Detroit Brooks, comes from a musical family that played gospel music and also popular music. Our trumpet player, Greg Stafford, is related to one of the great early jazz trumpeters, Henry Red Allen. And Henry Red Allen was so good that when Louis Armstrong started a big band in the late 1920s and early 30s, he hired Henry Allen. So, you know, that's that old trick about hire the competition so they won't get ahead. And I'm related, I'm a descendant of some of the first jazz musicians that were on the scene and interacted with the earliest known jazz legend, Charles Buddy Bolden. And our relatives and ancestors passed this tradition on to us. Now, in America, you don't always hear the authentic New Orleans style, but that's what we have for you this evening. This is the original, authentic New Orleans style jazz. And that opening selection was an old dance hall favorite. This was initially dance music. And so it's still sometimes dance music. The day before we came up, we played a wedding and people were dancing all over the place. That's right. But this is dance music, but it also is a very important music because in a way it also symbolizes American democracy. The freedom of expression, the incorporation of diversity, the allowance for possibility, a lot of other democratic ideas go into the making of this music. So it's a very special and important American music. It is still jazz. It's still widely known as America's most significant original artistic contribution to the world. And I'm proud to say that those of us from New Orleans, our ancestors started the whole thing many years ago. So that opening selection was called Shake It and Break It, dance hall number. And there were many influences. One of the things that's important about the music that we play is that it shows, well, it's more of a style than a set of songs. A lot of people think early jazz is just a certain number of songs, but it's actually a style that can be applied to songs of many different genres. But there were musical roots. So one of the roots of the music is the music known as ragtime. And ragtime influenced jazz by use of offbeat rhythmic figures known as syncopation, but also the structure of ragtime songs became important in early jazz. So the next song we're going to do for you now came from one of the famous bands in New Orleans that stayed in New Orleans during the 1920s, the heyday of jazz, but they played in the Louisiana area, Sam Morgan's jazz band, and they recorded this song way back in 1927. It's entitled The Bugaloosa Strut. very much. You know, in New Orleans, we have a very special way of honoring the ancestors and honoring deceased people with what are known nowadays as jazz funerals. And I'm sure you've all heard about jazz funerals. Contrary to widespread belief, most jazz funerals are not only for deceased musicians, but members of the community, especially people that belong to black social clubs. These were clubs that were formed after the Civil War as self-help groups, and they helped with a variety of events, and they helped with things like burial insurance and aid to the sick or the unemployed, beneficiary activities, many different kinds of things. And these social clubs, benevolent organizations, sponsored a variety of activities like parades, picnics, funerals, dances, meetings, of course, and also for dues-paying members in good standing, funerals with music. So between Greg Stafford and myself, we've played in several hundred jazz funerals because we play in brass bands. Brass bands are the 10-piece marching groups in New Orleans that improvise playing New Orleans-style jazz. And nowadays, there are younger, more modern brass bands that are playing another style of music. But traditionally, the jazz funeral is a time-honored tradition that views death from a double perspective. And that double perspective is we play slow, sad music to highlight the sadness that we feel at a person's passing, the mourning. And then at the end of the funeral ceremony, there is a procession, a slow procession with slow, sad dirges and hymns. And then after that, the band lets the body pass through, or if you get to the cemetery, if it's not too far away, then there is a joyous up-tempo parade with up-tempo music. We're going to play for you right now a hymn that we actually do play a lot in jazz funerals, entitled, it's an old hymn, you probably know it, In the Sweet By and By. Yes? Yes. But this is done New Orleans style. First, one chorus like we play En Route to the Cemetery, slow, sad, mournful. And then the second one, second time we're going to play it up-tempo, and again that part highlights the joy that we feel or should feel at a person's passing, because they are now truly free of earthly burdens and worries and gone on to a better reward in union with the Creator. So here is, in the New Orleans jazz funeral style, In the Sweet By and By. Thank you very much. And that's what we do in jazz funerals back home. And it's real jazz funeral ceremonies. You don't really see a lot of those today that are done with the dignity and respect that they were originally intended. But we played in a lot of those, and we still occasionally do jazz funerals that have that characteristic to them, that aspect to them. Right now we're going to do for you a song that was played by a lot of the early jazz musicians. It is a song from the Carolina Mountains. As I mentioned, New Orleans jazz is more of a style than approach, and it incorporates songs from many different genres and types. And old folk songs, popular songs were incorporated into New Orleans jazz quite a lot. This song comes from the Carolinas, as I said, and it's going to feature Greg Stafford on vocal, and it was an old dance hall song that they used to have to play late at night after the church-going crowd went home because of the type of dancing, let's just say that it incited. But we are in a sacred place, and you all look like sacred people, so somebody shook their head. I won't say who. But I think we're safe. We're going to do the song. It's entitled Careless Love.
Love, love, oh love, careless love. All right, I said love, love, oh love, careless love with dreamless dreams. Schemeless schemes, you done wrecked our boat on the shore. Yeah, I said love, love, oh love, careless love. It gets messy. Love, 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 careless love. You left me alone when you broke up a happy home. Hey, you done wrecked our boat on the shore. Now it's true that I'm cold and blue. All right. And it's all because of you, you and you left in the night when I wanted to hold you tight. You done wreck our boat on the shore. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Careless. I think we made it through that. Everybody was, even the lady who shook her head in the beginning. You know, ancestral tradition is very important. A lot of the musicians in New Orleans over the generations came and went. Some of them migrated out of New Orleans to places like Chicago, New York, helped to make jazz history on hundreds of incredible recordings that shaped not only future jazz styles, but also American popular music. And a lot of those musicians left their music for us to have and to take and to share with people like you all. And some of those musicians were very special. I was very fortunate when I started out playing to have met, known, and played with over 36 musicians who were born between the late 1890s and 1910. And those musicians were contemporaries of Louis Armstrong, Jelly Roll Morton, Sidney Bechet, Johnny Dodds, some of the great names in early jazz. And a lot of those musicians passed on things that they left with the guys that they played with. So those musicians that we knew helped us a lot in starting out. They told us things, they taught us things, and they passed on songs. One of the musicians that I never got to see, but I played with a lot of people that he played with, was a clarinetist named George Lewis. And George Lewis was well known since the 1940s and what was known as the New Orleans Revival, when there was a revival of outside interest in the New Orleans early jazz tradition. And people like trumpet player Bunk Johnson and clarinetist George Lewis made their first records then in the early 40s. And those records went out around the world and caught on like wildfire and started this movement for New Orleans jazz, in which it became like a cult following that is still alive today. All over the world, in places like Japan and all over Scandinavia and Central Europe and parts of Canada, parts of Latin America, Australia, people are playing this style of music, much more than in the United States. But one of those musicians, George Lewis, I never got to see, as I said, but some of my relatives played with him. Papa John Joseph was a bass player, and he was one of the oldest jazz musicians. He was born before, he was in the first generation. He was born before George Lewis. George Lewis was born in 1900. Papa John Joseph was born in 1878. And he was the oldest living jazz musician for a while, but he played and recorded with George Lewis, went on his first tour with him. And when I finally got to Japan, a lot of the Japanese people remembered Papa John Joseph, and I was very proud. They told me all kinds of things about him. But right now we're going to do for you a song that comes from George Lewis, who I never saw, but I feel. And it's a blues song. And the blues is a very important part of early jazz. And from a musical perspective, the blues can be played in any tempo, in any mood. So this is an up-tempo blues song, named after a street that George Lewis used to live on, St. Philip Street, and it's called the St. Philip Street Breakdown. Ready? One, two. Thank you very much. And that's the blues. You know, since New Orleans jazz is a style, from time to time we write our own original compositions using the principles of traditional New Orleans jazz. And I wrote an up-tempo hymn that we're going to do for you right now, kind of in honor of the ancestors, thinking about all of the people that came before and all of the glorious blessings that they left with us in terms of our music and special culture. And this song is entitled Dancing in the Sky. It's also the title of one of our CDs. Dancing in the Sky is a special song in which we envision that all the people that ever came before, not just all the musicians and people from New Orleans, but everyone who ever lived on earth is in heaven in a glorious New Orleans style second line. And so the person singing this, the lyrics, is the person anticipating joining that eternal second line one day. So here is, and we hope you enjoy it, Dancing in the Sky.
They be dancing in the sky when they bring my body by, 'cause they know that I joined them in heaven. Oh, this ruckus will be mine, and the eternal second line that there be when I join them in heaven. Oh, now life on this earth surely does have its word, but I know that it's better with the Lord. On that upcoming day, I know He make a way for me to be dancing in the sky one more time. To be dancing in the sky when they bring my body by, 'cause they know that I joined them in heaven. Oh, this ruckus will be mine, an eternal second line that there be, not join them in heaven. Oh, now life on this earth surely does have its word, but I know that it's better with the Lord. And on that upcoming day, I know He make a way for me to be dancing in the sky. All right.
right, listen, the good news is it's not over yet, all right? I'm reminded of I'm reminded of a couple of things. It's often said that New Orleans is the northernmost city of the Caribbean, and it turns out that New Orleans is actually in the Gulf of Mexico, not the Caribbean, but be that as it may, we're extending that even farther north tonight up to New England to Old Lyme. I think that's a great thing. So thank you to Michael and the band for bringing this incredible culture with you this evening. I also love that Michael's words about democracy, that this is music for democracy, representing democracy, and I love that they're also bringing that with them tonight as well. We need that spirit these days, so again, thank you to all of you for this beautiful, beautiful music. Well, while the band plays the next song, what we're going to do is take up a collection. This evening is meant as a gift, and the concert itself is, of course, free, but here's the deal, it wasn't entirely free for us. And so if you would like to help support this endeavor, and if you would like to help support this wonderful musical tradition and the ancestral voices that we have been summoning, we would welcome your help. There's no requirement, and if you have nothing to give, that's perfectly okay. Your presence is gift enough. But if you can throw a little money into the pot, or maybe even a lot, it would mean a great deal to all of us. It is ultimately your generosity that helps these ancestral voices contained in this music to keep on speaking. And so with that, I'll invite the folks to come forward with the offering plates, but I'll also invite Michael and the band to keep on going with this beautiful ancestral music that we get to partake of tonight. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, but
Thank you very much. You know, another important root of early New Orleans jazz is the march. As many of you know, there was a marching band craze in America in the late 19th century and early 20th century. There were marching brass bands in towns and cities all over America. Did they have a marching brass band here in the 1890s, 80s, 90s? Anybody know? Somebody say I wasn't here then. Some? Yes. But there was one thing that's different from those bands and the bands that started playing in New Orleans just before 1900. The bands playing just before 1900 improvised. The other bands were reading music. And there were a lot of musicians in New Orleans that read, but they found out it was a lot more fun to throw away the sheet music and improvise. So the next song we're going to do for you is an old march. It goes back to 1911. It's not that old as some of the marches are. It goes back to 1911. It was written by a guy named William H. Tyers, who was probably from up north somewhere. Everywhere in the country, people were reading this march as written. In New Orleans, They improvised. So we're going to give you our improvised version of this march right now. It never sounds the same same way twice, because I have no idea what I'm going to play, what he's going to play. We know, and this is a perfect example, by the way, of what we talked about earlier. Both jazz, the New Orleans style, we have specific roles for each instrument. The bass holds down the rhythm, and it also provides the main notes of the structure of a song. The banjo can play more than one note at the same time, so he's playing rhythm, but he's also playing a wider spectrum of notes that form the chord structure or harmonic structure of the song. The trumpet plays the lead or the melody, and he can improvise the way he plays that. He can make it personal by bending notes, changing rhythms, changing a note here and there, but still maintaining that quality of the lead. And the clarinet, well, is free to do whatever he wants. Because I'm the boss. No, the clarinet has a freer role because the clarinet can play notes in harmony with the trumpet, or as you hear us do many times, have call and response conversations. The trumpet is the call, the clarinet is the response. The clarinet can also play rhythmic figures to help the drive and the pulse of the song along. So all of that happens when we play. We know the structure of the song, we know the keys we're in, the changes of the keys and all of that. If any of you played in a high school or college marching band, you know marches are very tough to play, right? They have different parts, key changes, changes of structure, changes of volume, introductions, interludes. But this is a good example of how New Orleans jazz is a metaphor for democracy. With all those rules and all that strictness, this music found a way to loosen and relax the laws, not to destroy the structure, not to destroy the melody, but to reinterpret it to allow for personal and different cultural perspectives, if you will. So here is Panama. Thank you very much. I can assure you that's a lot more fun than reading the music. You know, another legendary musician from New Orleans, who I never got to see, but I feel like he's one of our musical ancestors, is the legendary Sidney Bechet. And Sidney Bechet was very important in jazz. To show you how this is a ancestral and family tradition, I never saw Sidney Bechet. He died when I was about 4 years old, and he was living in France. He had moved out of New Orleans, moved out of the States, and in France he was a legend. But I knew some of his relatives. His niece, who lived with him in New York, was a very close friend of mine. And today I teach at Xavier University in New Orleans. One of our professors is the great nephew of Sidney Bechet, Ron Bechet. And I know several of the other Bechet family members. And we all kind of feel like family. Every now and then we get together and talk about the music and our ancestors and things like that. But Sidney Bechet was very important in early jazz because he was one of the people that helped expand the concept of jazz by playing songs that were not normally thought of as part of the early jazz repertoire. And so he put a little New Orleans flavor and spice into everything he did. Sidney Bechet died as a legend in France. And in France he made and recorded a lot of songs, including the song Petite Fleur, which you may or may not have heard before. It sounds a little like this. Okay. So have you heard that before? Yeah, oh wow. We're not going to play that though. In 1939, Sidney Bechet had something that very few authentic jazz musicians ever have, a hit record. And he had a hit record when he became among the earliest of hundreds, probably thousands of singers and instrumentalists in many different styles and genres to play this song. But as I said, he added a little New Orleans flavor and spice to it, and it was a hit record for him in 1939. We're going to give you our rendition of that George Gershwin classic right now, Summertime. people stand up, they leave, so please don't do that. Thank you very much. So we're going to do for you right now a song that was written by a guy that used to play with Louis Armstrong, a clarinet player from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, named Joe Darrensburg. I had the good fortune of meeting him. He was living in Los Angeles. I went to his house and spent an entire afternoon talking clarinet. I was trying to learn everything I could. And he gave me some reeds and some pointers. And when I went to leave, he said, "Hold on, I got something else I want to give you." So I had to wait about 15 minutes as he was shuffling through this bookcase. And finally, he came out with this one sheet of paper. But on that paper was a song, and he said, "I wrote this song." And I saw it. I had never heard of the song. And come to find out, it was a favorite of the George Lewis Band, a lot of revival bands, and a lot of the bands in Europe. So we're going to do that song for you right now because it's also become one of our favorites. Feature Greg on vocal once again. It's entitled Louisiana. Thank you.
Louisiana, Louisiana, yeah. Oh, New Orleans with its Creole queens, they gonna chase my blues away. Now that old Mississippi, it keeps rolling, yes, and it hurries me home to you. Red beans and rice, I'm in paradise, Louisiana, yeah, coming to you, oh, Louisiana, yeah. Once again, I said Louisiana, Louisiana, yeah. Oh, New Orleans with its beautiful queens, they're gonna chase my blues away. That old Mississippi, it keeps rolling, yes, and it hurries me home to you. Red beans and rice, I'm in paradise, Louisiana, yeah, coming to you, oh, Louisiana, yeah.
Thank you very much. Would you like to hear one more number? Okay, before we do, once again we have on bass Mitchell Player. On banjo, Detroit Brooks. On trumpet and vocal, Greg Stafford. And yours truly on clarinet, Michael White. Thank you. We'd like to remind you that we have a few CDs for sale that we brought up from New Orleans. And we don't want to take them back home, so please pick up a copy and take a piece of us with you. It is a pleasure. We hope to see you at tomorrow's service at 10 o'clock. Don't forget daylight savings. I forgot daylight savings. Okay, so in keeping with our theme, our last number is the most popular number in the history of New Orleans.
When the saints go marching in, and now when the saints go marching in, now we all gonna be in that number. Hey, when the saints go marching in, now when the sun refuses to shine, hey, when the sun refuse to shine, now we all gonna be in that number. Hey, when the saints go marching in. Oh, now once I had a little playmate, and she used to walk and talk with me. Oh, but now since I got my religion, oh, she don't want to be seen around me. Oh, when the saints go marching in, now when the saints go marching in, now we all gonna get together, no matter what about the weather, when the saints go marching in.
again tomorrow at 10. Don't forget to set your clocks back. But man, we brought this all the way up from New Orleans. This is an incredible treat for all of us. So thank you to all of you again for being here, for being with us.